Quibi.
Quibi.
Quibi. Only on Quibi.
Quibi is quick bites.
Quibi is an app.
What is Quibi and why should anyone in this room or anyone?
Quibi. How to burn $175 billion in 6 months, raising $1.75 billion, hiring Hollywood's biggest stars, and convincing Silicon Valley's sharpest minds that you've reinvented entertainment only to crash and burn in 6 months. That's Quibi.
Right? We think that our use case is 7 in the morning till 7 at night. So maybe you get on the bus and you're holding your phone in portrait and then you want to watch something in landscape and then you get off and you want to, so we knew we had to go seamlessly portrait to landscape, and we wanted it to be full screen video because a lot of video on your phone isn't full screen video today because it hasn't been shot for the right aspect ratio.
Well, we didn't set out here to cut corners. We set out here to deliver people something that's unlike anything they've seen before, and that has a price tag about it. You know, it's not user-generated content, which we admire, and it's great, and it's made for pennies or dollars a minute. We're making content for $100,000 a minute, and yes, it's expensive, but that's worth it.
The most expensive 194-day failure in tech history. In April 2020, Quibi, short for Quick Bites, promised to revolutionize mobile entertainment, 10-minute high-quality shows made just for your phone, a bold bet that audiences wanted Netflix in snack form. But by October, the billion-dollar dream had turned into an industry punchline. And behind this collapse was a brutal truth. Quibi wasn't killed by COVID. It was killed by arrogance, a dream team nobody could stop.
We have this breaking news. According to the Wall Street Journal, the short-form video streaming service Quibi, founded by Jeffrey Katzenberg, the former CEO of DreamWorks Animation, and Meg Whitman, who used to run eBay, shutting down after just 6 months in operation, despite raising $1.75 billion in capital and landing all kinds of top-shelf advertising.
Quibi was the brainchild of Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman, two titans from opposite worlds. Katzenberg, the Hollywood legend behind Shrek, The Lion King, and DreamWorks. Whitman, the Silicon Valley powerhouse who turned eBay into an empire and ran Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. When these two joined forces, investors didn't blink. They lined up. Within months, Quibi raised nearly $2 billion from giants like Warner Media, Sony, Disney, Alibaba, and Goldman Sachs. It sounded unstoppable, a perfect marriage of Hollywood storytelling and tech innovation. But that marriage, as it turned out, was already cracking before launch. Trouble behind the curtain. Behind the smiles and press photos, Whitman and Katzenberg's partnership was tense. Katzenberg, the bold, brash showman, was known for his my way or the highway style. Whitman, the cool-headed executive, wasn't used to being treated like a sidekick. According to reports, she once threatened to quit Quibi entirely, accusing Katzenberg of treating her like an underling. Source. He eventually backed off, giving her more independence, but the friction never fully faded, and that tension at the top would echo through the company's short, chaotic life. Even the name was a battle. Katzenberg wanted to call it omakase. Yes, like the sushi experience. Whitman said absolutely not. They hired a branding firm that coined Quibi, short for Quick Bites. It sounded quirky and modern, but as time would prove, no one knew how to digest it. The grand vision, Hollywood in your pocket. Katzenberg pitched Quibi as a new era of storytelling. Hollywood quality shows chopped into 10-minute chunks for on-the-go millennials. You'd watch a thriller while in line for coffee, or a drama between meetings. No long episodes, no wasted time, just premium quick bites. To sell that dream, Quibi secured A-list names: Spielberg, Kevin Hart, Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Lopez, Idris Elba, and promised cinematic production values for mobile screens. Every detail screamed next big thing. They even invented a patented feature called Turnstile, letting you rotate your phone and see the same scene perfectly reframed in portrait or landscape. It was flashy, it was futuristic, it was wrong. The pandemic problem and a fatal gamble. As Quibi prepared to launch in early 2020, the world changed overnight. COVID-19 shut down offices, commutes, and travel. The entire premise of Quibi's on-the-go viewing model vanished. Suddenly, no one was on the go. People weren't watching videos in coffee lines or on buses. They were locked inside, binging Netflix, YouTube, and TikTok, all for free. Katzenberg and Whitman met in March 2020 for a private talk. The pandemic was spreading. They had a choice: delay the launch or push ahead. They chose the latter. Pedal to the metal, Katzenberg said, let's go do this. It was a $1.75 billion gamble, and within 6 months, the bet would explode, the launch that looked like a victory. When Quibi launched in April 2020, the numbers looked promising at first. After a massive marketing blitz, including a Super Bowl commercial, 910,000 people downloaded the app in just 3 days. Within 6 months, it had 12 million total downloads. On paper, that looked like traction. But behind the curtain, the numbers told a darker story. Only 1.3 million people were actually using it, and most of them weren't sticking around. When the free trials ended, only 8% of users converted to paying subscribers. To put that in perspective, Netflix converts around 70%. Katzenberg brushed off the early signs. He blamed the pandemic. He said people weren't out and about enough to enjoy Quibi the way it was intended. But the truth was more painful. Even if people had been commuting, they didn't want what Quibi was selling. The fatal design flaws. Quibi's tech was impressive. The app's turnstile feature, letting you flip between vertical and horizontal video seamlessly, was a genuine innovation. But all that cutting-edge design couldn't fix the core problem. Quibi didn't understand how people actually used their phones. It launched without a TV app, without the ability to take screenshots or share clips, and without any way to discuss or remix content. In an era ruled by TikTok memes and reaction culture, Quibi decided to build a walled garden, a platform actively hostile to sharing. You couldn't post a funny moment on Twitter, you couldn't send a clip to a friend, and that meant you couldn't help Quibi grow. It was a social media blackout in the most social media-driven time in history. Burning money like it was oxygen. With $1.75 billion in the bank, Katzenberg and Whitman had room to play big, and they did. They poured $1.1 billion into content before launch, paying an eye-watering $6 million per hour of entertainment. Another $150 million went into marketing. They signed A-list stars from Kevin Hart to Idris Elba to Reese Witherspoon, but forgot one crucial detail. Star power doesn't guarantee watch power. People don't pay for celebrity names anymore. They pay for connection, for relatability, for content that feels like them. TikTok creators, shooting in their bedrooms for free, were pulling more engagement than Quibi's $6 million episodes. It was the perfect symbol of Hollywood's arrogance colliding with digital reality. The Misread Audience, Quibi's target audience, was 25 to 35-year-olds, social media addicts raised on YouTube and TikTok. But the people leading Quibi were two executives in their 60s who didn't even use social media. When asked what she watched, Meg Whitman mentioned a History Channel documentary on President Grant. These were brilliant business people, but they weren't their audience. They didn't live the behaviors they were trying to sell to. They assumed millennials wanted short, premium, paywalled content, but millennials were already drowning in free, shareable, endless entertainment. Quibi was like a party thrown by billionaires who forgot to invite the guests. The pandemic excuse. When Quibi started sinking, Katzenberg blamed COVID-19. "I attribute everything that has gone wrong to the coronavirus," he said. But that excuse didn't hold up. During that same period, Netflix gained 36 million subscribers, Disney Plus added 100 million, and TikTok became the most downloaded app in the world. People weren't watching less, they were watching more. They just weren't watching Quibi. The real problem wasn't the pandemic, It was a product-market mismatch. The fastest collapse in streaming history. By October 2020, just 6 months after launch, the dream was over. Quibi had burned through most of its cash. Advertisers pulled back. Viewer numbers cratered. Meg Whitman began quietly shopping the company around. Netflix, Apple, and even Comcast. Every single buyer said no. Not even a fire sale could save it. On October 21st, 2020, Quibi officially announced its shutdown. Investors recovered around $600 million, leaving over $1 billion vaporized. To make it sting worse, Quibi's $1 billion content library was eventually sold to Roku for less than $100 million. $1 billion of Hollywood's best work, repackaged as Roku originals. The hard truth: you can't buy culture. In the end, Quibi didn't fail because it didn't have enough money. It failed because it didn't have humility. It tried to manufacture culture instead of earning it. It tried to dictate how people should watch instead of asking how they wanted to. Katzenberg and Whitman thought they were building the future of entertainment, but the future belonged to creators, not corporations. Quibi was never for its audience. It was built for its investors, and that's why no one watched. Lessons from the collapse. What $175 billion can teach you about failure. Lesson 1. Money can't fix misalignment. Quibi's founders had everything: funding, fame, and credibility. But what they didn't have was alignment between their product and the people they were trying to serve. They believed premium content and celebrity names would be enough to attract attention. But attention today isn't bought, it's earned. Audiences reward brands that understand their daily habits, not those that try to reshape them. If Quibi had run even a basic audience reality check before launch, how do people really consume content today? What do they share? What do they value? They might have seen the cracks forming. Instead, they built in isolation. They built for their idea of the future, not the world's present. Lesson 2. Innovation means nothing without adoption. Turnstile, Quibi's signature feature, was brilliant on paper, but technology isn't innovation unless it solves a real problem. People didn't need dynamic framing, they needed convenience, shareability, community. Quibi focused on being clever, not useful. This is where so many companies stumble. They chase shiny features and forget to ask the simplest question: will anyone care enough to use it twice? Lesson 3. The market doesn't care about your ego. Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman were legends in their fields, but that legacy became a blindfold. They were surrounded by yes people, insulated by experience and convinced they couldn't be wrong. But the market has no mercy for titles. It doesn't care about resumes or past wins. The only thing that matters is value, real, current, user-centered value. Quibi's biggest mistake wasn't that it failed fast, it's that it refused to listen fast. Lesson 4. You can't manufacture culture. TikTok didn't grow because it spent billions. It grew because people made it theirs. Quibi, on the other hand, built a polished, perfect, locked-down platform and forgot that modern entertainment is messy, social, participatory. They didn't need more celebrities. They needed community. Quibi's story isn't just about a billion-dollar loss. It's about how even the smartest leaders can fall victim to their own confidence. No matter how much you raise, how good your pitch deck looks, or how many headlines you grab, if you don't align with your audience, you will lose. Before your next big launch, ask yourself, are we solving a real problem? Do we understand how people behave today, not how we wish they did? And most importantly, are we humble enough to listen when the data says we're wrong? Because every failed company started as a great idea that ignored the warning signs. If you want to build something people love, start by loving the people first. Enjoyed this breakdown? Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We uncover the wildest business meltdowns and the lessons behind them every week. Don't miss the next one. It might just save your company.